Yeah, so today is January 27th. This is podcast 2. Trying to see if I can get this ball rolling. In best case scenario, get people who are interesting onto this podcast concept. I always call it a podcast concept because I'm like, everyone's doing podcasts and it's super rad that people are talking, but they keep calling podcasts. Like, what's another name for podcast? Perhaps Mike on Mike crime, Mike to Mike's. Podcast is fine. So today I think I want to talk about what I learned last night when I was watching Queer Eye, the new episode. It's unbelievable. I've been a big fan of Queer Eye probably since, I don't know, probably the past 3 years maybe? I don't know what the time frame is on it, but it is super lighthearted. It makes people feel good. It makes me feel good because what happens is, I don't know if you ever watched Queer Eye, but basically it's 5 gay dudes going to someone's house, someone that was voted from or whatever, from their someone's significant other, friend, something like that, and basically it's trying to make people get out of a rut. Someone's depressed, whether they keep wearing the same thing every day, all they do is work, family things where they're not as close to their family as, maybe the rest of the family would like to be, things like that where they're helping you feel good. And by helping other people feel good and you see their reactions, you end up feeling pretty good on the watching end of it. So yesterday there was an interesting one where they went to he's a football coach for an all-deaf school in Louisiana. And the coach, he was the one who got voted to be opened up or enlightened or whatever you call it, or get that confidence back from the Fab Five. And just seeing the story behind why he's at this school, which is sadly losing a lot of people enrollment because a lot of the kids who are deaf, they're going just to public school and they utilizing the programs within those public schools or charter schools, private schools, whatever it is. But they're not at a dedicated school for deaf people. And this coach, he is at a dedicated school for deaf people, and they're sadly losing a lot of funding, sports, music. They were on the cusp of losing a lot of this type of stuff. And as a coach, he's also athletic director. I think he's a gym teacher or teacher. Like, he's the whole shebang at this school. And what's happening is, like, everything's kind of crumbling a little bit because there's not enough enrollment. So the Fab Five came in. He's just super, super hard on himself. He has a lot of pressure to do all these things for his students, and he doesn't have enough time to take care of himself or mentally, physically, and things like this. And they came in and they come in and they build his confidence back, basically. They make him go back and see what his desires are and where all this struggle is and all these type of things where I wouldn't say it's all fixable over one night, but it's a thing that, in a nutshell, it's all in our head. For me, the same type of concept happens where I'm just so in my head. I don't see how hard I'm working or who's being affected by me just being in the zone. I don't really check out my appearance that much because who needs to dress good when all you're doing is going to a coffee shop to work on a computer or a co-work space for an office? Who needs to do that? So I wear sweatpants, I wear a sweatshirt, and I basically wear that every single day. I think what's happening is I feel the same way as they do sometimes where it's like, okay, we're in the grind. We're not necessarily the happiest right now. It's like who cares how I look and how I dress and things like that. But what they do is they give him a whole makeover, really, where they, cut his hair, a little bit of scruff on his face. They give him some decent clothes or nice clothes. And to see not just him, but other people just get completely like brightened up and reminded of how good they look, it makes me feel good to want to try to do that too. And, even for today, I'm not really dressed up, as you can tell, but I do want to get dressed up. And it does make you feel good. It's just, I'm just so in the zone where it's like, who cares what people think, really? But it's not that. It's like, look good, feel good. And it's not looking good for someone else. It's looking in the mirror. There's a mirror behind you guys. I don't know if you can tell. But there's a mirror. You look in it, and it's looking in your own eyes. You got to look in your own eyes and be like, hey, I look good. I feel good. Sadly for me, I haven't been able to look into a mirror in probably around, I don't know, since high school. Barely. I haven't really looked in the mirror and been like, dude, you look good. Like, keep it up. You rock. And when I watch these type of shows, I feel like they don't do it either. I someone said they didn't look at the mirror for, say, 15 years. And it's like, oh my God, how does this happen where we can't even look at ourselves in the mirror and be like, hey man, you look good, or you're going to be good today. We don't do that. I don't do that. It's hurtful because like you only have one person, like literally there's only one person in your life that really and truly really matters, and it's you. And apparently I don't feel the way I don't feel that, and I don't understand what's a society thing, or is the pressures and other shit. A family, work, making a lot of money, all this shit, and it's like I don't have 30 seconds to look at myself in the mirror to at least see how things are going. Going back to the show, it's a reminder that we don't look at ourselves in the mirror, and 15 years go by, 10 years go by, and we look completely different. Not only do we look differently, but now we're looking at ourselves and we're like, why don't I feel as good as I did 10, 15 years ago? I feel worse. What happened? And maybe it's because we haven't looked at ourselves in the mirror and we're like, oh, well, hey, bud, looks like you're getting a little old around the eyes. Let's freshen up. Let's drink some more water. Something like that, where it's a friendly reminder, like, hey, let's take care of ourselves, or let's lift myself up and be a better teammate. As a one-person show. It's not a one-person show right now. I'm a fucking robot, and internally, it's like I'm just moving around. My body's moving around, but I'm not connected to my body. And going back to the simple concept of just looking in the mirror and feeling like you know yourself could make all the difference. And it's something that will be tried in the future. I've tried it a little bit more, especially with meditation, getting into like the inner child thing. But it's like, it's the small stuff. Even if it is a physical appearance thing where it's like, dude, you look like you had a rough night last night. And it's like, but I didn't drink. I didn't go party. Like, why would I look like this? And it's because I haven't looked at myself in such a long time. I got fucking old. Like, luckily, for me, I have this whole like half Asian concept where my age doesn't really show as much, but somebody said that I don't even look 18 anymore. You know how hurtful that sounded? I don't look 18. Is it my mustache? Is it my... I don't know what it is. But, yeah. So going back to the show, that happened. And this happens with every episode. Like, they hit the mark. They go internally in terms of how you feel emotionally. Kuromo, I don't know if I'm saying that. Kuromo. They have Bobby. He's taking care of, like, your safe space. We get involved. We're so self-involved with society and work and all this bullshit. And we come back home. We live in not squalor, but sometimes we don't live in a healthy home. So how the fuck am I going to be a healthier person when I don't even live in a healthier home? So that's Bobby. I saw Bobby actually on Fountain Ave a few days ago, and I gave him a shout out. I have it on recording verbally, so it'd be really cool to be like, hey, Bobby. You'll hear it, and I just love these dudes. And then we have Tan, who's about the clothing, with appearance, where it makes you feel comfortable and confident. And then you have, I call him Anthony, and he's for food, because, we are feeding ourselves. We have to feed ourselves either good or bad, and we got to, for me, I feed myself a lot of alcohol and fried food, but sometimes throwing a nice little salad or showing appreciation with cooking, for example, when we have a nice date, whatever it is, he's the food. And then we have, Jonathan, and he's about the hair and the facial hair and stuff like that, and he's like super, it's a full combination of people just trying to help you to feel normal, to feel like yourself, like you were a long time ago. Like you had something happen in our lives where we felt peace and not being rushed and no pressure and not having to satisfy everybody. There was a time, sometimes we all go back, not even college years. We go back like 8 years old. 8 years old. I'm 34 years old. 8 years old was the last time I felt like at full peace. And yeah, maybe because I was a kid. Maybe because I had a safe place at home. I get that part. But it's like, what happened when I was throughout the years where I wasn't able to create some form of that for me now? So it's just these things just pop in my head when I'm watching these type of shows. I suggested, like, I wish I was that big where I'm like an advocate or I'm making some money from shouting out Queer Eye. But dude, they're such a good fucking show. Oh my God. Because what happened was they just came out the new season, I think a few days ago, 3 days ago, 24th or 25th. And sadly, there's only 8 episodes on episode 8. I think. But I mean, I binged 3-4 episodes. That's what, 4 hours? So I'm watching I'm watching this show for 4 hours to feel better. And yeah, I could implement that and use, say, 2 hours to implement it and shave or do some fucking push-ups. I don't know, but we'll start slow. Let's watch the show, bang it out, get the vibe going, and hopefully get to where I need to be, where I can at least look in the mirror and say, hey, dude, you rock. Finish off the episode in itself, I also had this huge like realization. So basically, yeah, he's the coach. You're giving him confidence so he can also bring that confidence to the locker room, right? And what they did, where to give him more confidence or help him get that confidence or notice it and see what he really does other than just coach football, maybe I'm sure he thinks more than that. And that's just my fault for not being educated enough how to verbalize it. But they took him and his team to LSU, the football field, and to see all these kids lightened up and him to be just so proud to even have the chance to do that was just like, oh my God, wow, like holy shit. And it shot back to me because what I got out of that concept, and Cromo mentioned it, was if you're in a position where you want to make change, say for example children, you can do it for adults too, and this is what Queer Eye is all about. It's showing the possibilities. Like they showed the possibilities to the students, to the athletes, the kids, and the coach. And I was like, oh my God, that is so fucking powerful. Like I have been in such a rut. I don't see the possibilities on a lot of things. I've been just stuck on small business stuff that it's small in reality. There's debt. Yeah, it sucks. But it's a small concept of what the world really is. Like, I never realized what the possibilities could be. I could buy another business right now and justify that shit. And, you know, there's ways of doing things where I haven't been reminded of the possibilities. And Queer Eye brought concept of possibilities again to not just the students, not just the coach, but to the viewers. And for me, I've been on this huge kick of like, how can I help other people? I'm doing this shit. Best case scenario, I help one kid out there, or one person out there who's listening, if they do listen. And for me, it's like, okay, well, how can I help kids look at the possibilities again or see the possibilities? I get the concept of social media, but is that really showing the possibilities? I don't think it is. Do I know what the possibilities is of Cancun? If I don't go, no, I've never been to Cancun. I've never felt the air or smelt the sea or saw a freaking mariachi band at the airport. Like I haven't experienced it, the possibilities. And that's on a larger scale of traveling. But there's so many kids here in LA right now that are probably in a huge funk. And maybe that funk would be subsided if someone like me or someone else like out there were able to find this community somehow and be like, hey, have you ever dreamt of something? Oh, yeah, I've always dreamt of being a video game developer. Okay, so me, with my age and wisdom and some small amount of money and a cell phone, can call 3, 4, 5 companies who are making games. And I can bring this kid to the office and show him what the possibilities is. Like, what it'd be like to be in an office where there's so many other creators creating one thing, like a video game. To smell it, to see the fucking the ping pong tables and the parking lot, all this, because they haven't been able to do this where they are right now because of their circumstances. So this was all in my head like 1 o'clock in the morning, and you always get a high when you feel good watching something or doing something, and it's like, oh, how can I keep doing it? How can I keep doing what? Like, this made me feel good. How can I help a shitload more people do it? And this is the type of shit that I think about. But that's what we can do. We have a car. Sometimes you don't even need to have a fucking car. We have buses, trains, with parental approval. If there's no parents, ask for the kids' approval, obviously. And be like, well, maybe it's at a community center, maybe we'll go to a community center and be like, I don't know the logistics legally of this shit, but there's gotta be a way. Like, if there's a community center where, you know, for me, I want to help predominantly Asian kids, but I'm open. There's a shitload of other kids, but right now I feel like I can communicate a little bit better with, you know, whatever. But go to the Asian community center for kids, right? Talk to the head people and be like, hey, I'm a new guy. I get it, and I'm ambitious as much as you guys are. But what does it take to bring one kid out of this program just for the day, bring him to the video game office, for example, have a tour, and bring him back. Like, what does that take? How can I do this? Best case scenario, you gotta see me do this. Like, I need to look in the mirror and be like, hey, do I want to do this? Does this make me feel good? Right now, talking out loud, it does make me feel good. But then life gets in the way, procrastination gets in the way, and I don't help that kid with his purpose. And helping that kid with the purpose is also, or procrastinating helping that kid find his purpose is procrastinating my possibility of purpose as well. I don't know why I wake up sometimes. Like, why am I here? Why the fuck am I here? It makes no sense sometimes. I'm like, why am I waking up to do the same fucking thing every single goddamn day? And I'm sorry for swearing. I'm gonna try cutting it back. I'm gonna beep that shit. But it's like you wake up in the morning, you don't look at yourself in the mirror, you don't ask the questions of why, or you don't iterate the good stuff of why you are, right? You don't look at yourself in the mirror. You have no idea who the fuck you are. And it's a procrastination thing. Then you're 5-10 years later plus, and you're just even more in the hole. You're even more depressed. You're not even, you don't know who you are at all. And the procrastination of it is really what's messing things up. And I hope, like, if you're hearing this, you heard what the fuck I just said and the realization I really just had. The accountability that we can hold to each other may be what saves the fucking world. Like, if someone hops on and they're like, yo, Phil, did you link up with those kids yet? Oh my God, man, no, I didn't. You want to join me maybe? Oh my God, now we have a fucking community that we can do this together? Like, what? Like, you know, yeah. Well, that was episode 2. What a realization. It's 8 o'clock in the morning right now, and wow. So this was all in my head while I sleep. I'm expected to have a good night's sleep. I dreamt awesomely, by the way, but yeah. So that was episode 2. Thank you. Follow, like, share, and let's build this accountability group of people who can look at themselves in the mirror and be like, yeah, you're doing a good job. No, let's take that beard off.